Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We are the PPC Filtered Podcast with Cory Lindholm and Michael Nadalin. And today we're going to be chatting about branded campaigns. Now, Cory said before we're having the chat with that, we're not going to do the argument of should you run brand and should you not. But I also think that will always bleed in. So if that does come about, that's going to happen. But we're going to just be talking about branded campaigns, how to run them, how to structure it, how to do it, our thoughts on it, our opinions. We haven't actually discussed our opinions, so we may actually have conflicting opinions on this call today. So, yes. Cory, how you going, mate?
Good, man. All right. I got a big question for you, though, to start this off. Are branded campaigns worth it? I'm kidding.
Fuck yeah, all the time. Sorry. I don't know if I didn't actually know. We haven't scripted this. So I don't actually know when somebody's joke. Yes.
Yes, all the time. You would never not do branded campaigns. Branded search campaigns.
I think we're in a time and age now where no matter how big or small if you're running enterprise, 100%, you've got to do brand protection, 100%. But even with smaller companies now, if your brand has like some sort of product keyword in it, or Google, or Google associates your brand with the industry keywords, your competitors will show up. So it's pure brand protection now. But I'm not going to go into it. I want to hear your thoughts first. I want to hear your thoughts, and then I can start processing my own.
Okay, first off, Tenuity, great agency. They work with very big clients, some of the biggest in the world, in my opinion. And they have done a full-on research study on this. So go ahead and check out Tenuity, super smart people over there. And they have tested this. They have tested this and tested this. Let's turn off branded search and see what happens. Usually at the client's request. Pretty much conclusion is 99 out of 100 times you should be doing a branded search campaign. Bigger, yes, brand protection, but it goes beyond that. We don't need to get into all of that. If you're very small, I've heard this argument all the time, very, very small brand, or you're just getting started, is it worth it? My answer to that is, why not? What are your CPCs going to be? There's probably nobody that even knows that you exist. What are you going to be paying? A cent, 2 cents, 3 cents if somebody clicks the ad? Is that really a big loss to you? I mean, honestly, no. I'd rather get it ready, for your account ready for future volume, and have that ready to go, as opposed to missing that data and then looking at my non-branded search, especially if I don't have an attribution tool, and wondering, was this people that were aware of the brand already? I don't know. I can't see the connection. I can't see the attribution between the campaigns. So there's a lot of justification for having it at all levels of spend. There might be some rare instances where you might not run branded, but they're so rare, it's not worth wasting your time, viewer. So we're just going to say, yes, do a branded search campaign. Let's get into best practices. Okay.
Yeah.
So first off, if you're running a PMAX campaign and you see a lot of branded in there, do you ever shut off branded search, or do you just keep it running most of the time?
I leave it running.
Yeah, me too.
Personally. Okay, good. I was scared. I was actually scared that moment.
You might test it. You might test, let's see what happens. I've seen instances where you drop the budget for PMAX dramatically, and let's say you only have the one PMAX campaign in your account, and all of a sudden branded search goes way up, right? It's probably because a lot of the branded search was funneling from a quality score standpoint into the PMAX, but now that has lower budget, and your branded search has a larger budget, it's just going to funnel it somewhere. It wants to get the easy win somewhere. It's going to find the spot. If it's happening, that could be interesting, and let you know what's happening between your campaigns and how those campaigns are interacting. But I think that's as far as we really need to go into that. In terms of structure, one campaign, multiple campaigns, how do you usually think about it?
Yeah, I usually, for most businesses, it's just one campaign, a branded campaign with exact and phrase match. But then depending on the brand, if it's like a insurance company or it's something bigger like a bank with different products, I'd have a campaign for that brand name plus the product name after it. Okay. That way I actually know people looking for these keywords, either just the brand generic, brand plus product, brand plus product. Very dependent. I don't want to track back too much, but I'm going to let you keep leading, and then I'm going to comment on a few of the things you've said, because I think there is a lot of, not nuance points, but just add-ons that I think are important. But I'll let you keep going.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, larger advertisers, especially if you're selling other people's brands, you're going to have multiple branded campaigns.
Oh yeah,
But,
yeah.
that's kind of an outlier situation. Even in that sense, though, do also include what we like in the agency world to call a pure brand campaign. So if you are wholesalerxyz.com, make sure you have a campaign that's just dedicated for your specific brand, even though you don't sell any of your own branded products. You're selling the Nike and the Adidases of the world. You're going to have different campaigns probably for those brands. Make sure you have a separate campaign for your specific brand. We usually call it a pure branded search campaign. So that's important. From an ad group standpoint, I know this is getting pretty granular, but I think people are going to ask that question, how should I set up my ad groups? I always say go as granular as you need to, right? This will be dependent on the amount of search volume for a particular product category, department, whatever. If you are a lower volume, like let's say, I don't know, it's always hard to say what, it's all relative, but say you're only getting like 100 clicks or maybe even less than 1,000 clicks on your pure branded search traffic, or your search ads rather, you probably don't need 100 ad groups, right? Again, I only create an ad group if I absolutely have to. If it's going to go to a very particular landing page, the ad copy needs to be very thematically relevant to the keywords that are in that ad group. I'll go ahead and create a new ad group for that. Or if I'm testing something with match types or something like that, which is more rare nowadays with the way close variants work. But more often than not, you want to keep it rather consolidated in your branded search campaign. There's no need, and I've seen this all the time. We just talked about DIY, Google ads. This is a common thing where I go into their branded, and it's either one of two things. It's either they have one ad group where everything branded related is going through it. And sometimes that's crazy because they have thousands of clicks per week. And I'm like, there's no thematic sculpting going on here. Like you're writing a generic ad for all of your products. That's crazy. You want to, get the cheapest click you can. And one way to do that from Quality Square standpoint is to have thematically, a different ad group. So don't have just one more often than not, unless you've just hardly anyone searching for your brand. Maybe that's okay for now. Just throw in your brand name and phrase match and go from there and keep an eye on the search term volume and add more keywords as needed. But yeah, don't also on the other side of the spectrum have, it's like 100 ad groups and 90% of them have like 1 to 5 clicks a month. You probably don't need that level of sculpting. It's just more management time. It's just going to weigh you down. So yeah, a couple of quick points on that.
And to add on to that is making sure that you have that brand term negative out for the other campaigns. Yes. If you're running brand keywords for a brand campaign, you want to make sure that brand keywords are not showing in non-brand campaigns. Mm-hmm. That happens all the time. All the time. Yes. Especially if people are running broad match in their non-brand campaigns. Yep. You'll just scrape all that brand traffic. So,
DSA as well.
Yes, yeah. So make sure that when you've got your brand campaigns, you've got a brand keyword in there that's more of a catch-all, just in case you've got, like, you don't want to be negative things out and then sometimes you're doing a double negative where nothing will show. But making sure you put negative keywords of your brand or like a phrase of a term of your brand in a generic search campaign and DSA campaign, because that happens all the time. I was looking at one 2 days ago. Literally, I was like, oh, this like non-brand campaign looks good. And I was like looking at the keywords. I'm like, the keywords are like all non-brand. And then I like click on the search terms. I'm like, they're all brand. And it happens all of the time. And people are like, but like all of our non-brands going on. It's like, have you even looked at the search term for that campaign, for that keyword, for that ad group? They haven't, because they don't drill down deep enough.
That is one of the first things I do when I see a good performing non-brand search.
Yeah.
I skip everything and I go right to search terms. I sort by conversions. I'm like, oh no, this is all branded, and you think it's going great. And you're just funneling money into it. Ugh,
and the good thing about that is when you do clean that up, your brand campaigns, the numbers are more accurate.
Yeah.
And then the non-brands are more accurate, which means you can actually make better decision making. It's not, sometimes people, and this is the thing, they have like one, if they're running it from an agency, they're like, but it makes the non-brand campaign look much better. It's like, dude,
unethical.
What is this? What is what is this? Just be honest. But the challenge is some people are trying just to cover up their work.
True.
Going back to the PMAX aspect as well, I primarily run feed-only asset groups. So my ads will not be showing on search because I'm not putting any assets in there. So it just depends on also how you run your PMAX campaigns. If you do just do feed only versus filling in all the assets, because that will compete. And the biggest thing, and I haven't read anyone say this, it's just been a thought and I haven't even researched it, but if you're doing a negative keyword of your brand in a PMAX campaign, yes, you don't show for search, but you may not show for shopping. Have you had that, Corey? Where like if someone's looking for your
I wouldn't say not one-to-one correlation like that now.
Okay. But it's just more that it's more of a concern of mine. Like if you put your brand name as a negative keyword for a PMAX when you got all the assets, do you not show for the product when someone's looking for a product of your brand and then all your competitors shop? That's the only thing. I don't know, but that's just like a thought I've kind of always had in the back of my mind.
I mean, if the search term contains that brand, then you're not going to show that product.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah. But I mean, if it's like Acme Incorporated, Acme Incorporated is the brand, and then the type of like the sub brand of Acme is like I don't know. Give me a name. I'm blanking here.
But let's just say someone's looking for Acme shoes at that point. So you've removed Acme from the PMAX. He's like, I'm going to show. But then your PMAX is running all your shopping because you haven't segmented it out. And you've just gone, I want to reduce Acme. But people are looking for Acme shoes, Acme pants. Like because
you told PMAX not to show an ad for it.
That's it. And that's where I feel like that's probably the nuanced point that people need to watch out for. It's not about your PMAX showing on search. It's about your PMAX not showing on products because that's where you're going to be losing money. And it's like after that point, it's like, dude, does it even matter? Just leave just leave the term in there, like chill.
Yeah, so just to clarify for people, in case it's not clear, like if someone is searching for that brand, it's not, and you've negated it out with like account level negatives or through a rep or whatever, it's not going to show an ad when someone searches that brand plus whatever the product is, whatever, but it'll still show the product ads for searches that do not contain the brand. So I just wanted to clarify that. It's not like it'll block it completely showing just because you've removed branded. But yeah, and also just to wrap that up, I'm not a big fan of when you add in, like when you block the branded search terms from PMAX, what essentially is going to happen a lot of the time is you're giving Google the insight from the first impression or whatever it is all the way to almost the end when a lot of those conversions are going to happen on a branded search term, an ad that's generated by a branded search term that gets a click that gets the sale. So why would you show Google everything that's working until the close? That's like you're just like you're kind of hampering probably the performance more often than not. I know there are smart people that disagree with that, but I would say more often than not, you don't want to like shoot yourself in the foot by just negating brand from that. Because again, you're not giving Google all the information to make the best predictive decisions for your account. Obviously, PMAX is all automated bidding at the taping of this video. I don't think that's changing anytime soon, but something to consider. So I know that's a highly debated topic.
Yeah. You want to give these algorithms as much data as possible. And if people go, oh, but I know my brand's going to convert organically. It's like, well, then just put it in the account, get all this rich data in your account by people who know your brand. So then Google can look for more people who are similar to that. And then in the future, maybe you taper back, but don't do it from the start. Yeah. From the start, you should be trying to load your account up with conversion data. So let's just say you get 100 conversions and 80 of them are brand. Awesome, because that's 80 data points of people who know your brand, who want to buy, that Google can start prospecting to people who are similar to the people who you want to buy from. Like a lot of this is just logical common sense, but I think people are just stingy, man. They're like, oh, I don't want to spend money there. It's like, dude, do you want to grow your business or do you want to save a few dollars? Because this is the data that's probably the most important data. Like if you do any business analytics, you want to find about people who buy from you. This data is the people who buy from you, but you're basically going, I don't want to pay for that though. I want the data, but I don't want to pay for it. It's like, yeah, but you're not doing this for results, brand. You're doing it for the algorithm, and then it will start building on itself. A snowball will happen. But look, none of my clients argue with this shit, so I don't care. And I haven't had it in years. And interestingly, there was a dude on LinkedIn maybe a year and a half ago who posted something being like, he's like, this company spends $100,000 a month on their brand because, there's X amount of searches and the cost per click is this. And then I was like, and he's like, they're just wasting money. And I wrote this post, going back to that main point again, is I wrote this post being like, look, I've worked with enterprise clients before where for a 3-month period, we were running brand and then we stopped running brand. So I knew what the average searches per month for the brand was. I also had Search Console access, so I actually had the impressions and clicks because Search Console is only really relevant for your brand name. It's not really going to tell you much else. And what we discovered, and there's things that say it, is it's not you either get a Google Ads click or an SEO click. It's not binary. It's like you get a high proportion of clicks for both when you run ads. So you might have got 1,000 clicks for Google and you're like 1,000 clicks here and you're like, oh, well, if I just cut off the Google Ads, I'll just get 2,000 on SEO. It's like, no, when you run them together, you actually get probably 2,500 because you're getting more opportunities. Firstly, your competitors are going to pick up maybe 5, 10, 20% of the branded click. And I just know from statistics. Anyway, I posted this to this dude on LinkedIn, and then the guy who's actually running the account for this big nutrition company actually piped in. It's like, actually, I'm running these ads, and dude, we ain't spending that much money. It's like, oh, this company's spending $100,000 a month. He's like, dude, we're spending like $4,000. Like, chill out, man. Like, yes, we're getting a lot of traffic from it, but it's not expensive. And if you're running a company that's getting hundreds of thousands of searches a month for your brand, you're an easy picking for your competitors just to cherry pick off because it's like, oh, there's a brand that's established that people trust. Let me just insert my ad going, looking for Acme, ? We've got a cheaper, I'll get 10% off now. And then you can just literally just like hijack that attention because people who are proactively looking for a brand are proactively looking to buy from them. So there are just so many ways of, I know we didn't want to get to this part, but like, I know I've run the data myself. This is with hundreds of and thousands of impressions, like tens of thousands of clicks. I know the data. I know it's important. So whilst I don't face this anymore, for anyone who's like doubting it, I'm just going to say like, if you don't do it, you're leaving money on the table. You're leaving valuable data on the table. And that's why your competitors beat you. Look at your competitors and see if they're running branded ads. And that will give you a sign if you should be doing it as well.
Yeah, I love that. It's not maybe the best analogy, but think about like if you wanted to use that argument for Coca-Cola, where you're like, we would have gotten those sales anyway. Like, let's just stop advertising Coca-Cola. Like, there's a reason that Coca-Cola is still one of probably the most prominent advertiser in the freaking universe. It's because they see the value in having to continue to remind people to drink and buy more Coca-Cola. What makes you think your brand is so much better than Coca-Cola to be like, branded search or whatever. We don't need that. Like, people are going to buy through organic. Like, that's a heck of an assumption that you're making that some of the biggest brands in the world do not make that error in thinking.
If I Googled Apple right now, they're running ads. If I'm Googling McDonald's, they're running ads. The thing is, at a certain point when a brand gets so big, they're actually only advertising on their brand. They're not doing non-brand search anymore. That's the thing. When people get so big, they'll like most of the time they'll just be bidding on their brand for brand. I
do see that where their budget I've seen that a lot. Yeah. Where their budget is strictly on brands and sub brands. Like they can't even like afford to, their budget's already so huge. They can't afford it. It just doesn't make sense from an efficiency and accounting standpoint to do it. But we're talking guys like major, huge spends, like millions. You're probably not at that point yet.
Yeah.
So don't rush to turn off all your non-branded search campaigns.
But I think the main thing is run brand, feeds your account with more data. It protects your brand from competitors. The last thing is, and this is probably the most important thing, if your brand is showing high organically and you're running a promotion, that organic listing ain't saying that for December or like January or February, it's 10% off. Ads also allow you to, one, when people look for your brand, put a promotional message or like what your main focus is for your business. And two, you get to guide them to a specific page rather than just the homepage. So you can send them to a landing page with an offer. So you get a higher conversion rate. So yes, your brand might have got a 4% conversion rate on the homepage rather than the 1 or 2%. Send it to a landing page. You got that up to a 10% immediately. and you've got an offer there. So just remember, it's more than just like shaving a few dollars here and like, I would have got the traffic. It's about making sure you're protecting your brand, getting high quality data for the algorithms, and also leading people to the pages and the promotions that you're actually pushing at the moment.
Yep.
That's it.
Okay. All right. This is where I think we might have conflicting opinions.
Oh, no.
And
Camera off. I'm going.
All right. And if you at this up until this point, if you feel like I know all this, okay. Here's, I think, a highly debated subject on branded search in particular that I'm really curious to see where we both stand. Okay. So I am a major proponent most times of using manual bidding for branded search campaigns. Michael, how do you feel about that? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Damn, I thought we'd have one thing that we just...
Yeah, no. So it's either... Yeah, by the way, most of my accounts, when I run them, start off with manual CPC, always, without enhance, until they get a certain amount of data, because I'm not allowing the algorithm to decide that. The only thing is... The only time I wouldn't use manual CPC is target impression share. There's sometimes with clients who they're being insurance or banks that I will do a target impression share.
Sure.
And it will be, that's just because I want to push to 99%. And they're like, if these companies that are spending like $50, $60, $100 a click, their brand's coming in for $4. So their brand clicks ain't going to be clicking over $40. So it's usually like 90 to like maybe 95% cheaper. So I'm happy with target impression share.
Okay.
In that case. Thoughts? Okay. Or you still disagree?
There are companies that like that is their main thing, is to have a certain impression share. I would still rather try to accomplish that through manual bidding. Because more often than not, this is true of target impression share. I mean, man, I've done this so many times now, that or they're doing maximized conversions or something. Actually, let's put those in those two buckets, because target impression share and maximized conversions or maximized conversion value, no ROAS target, no CPA target, tends to, if you look at the search terms, you will find sometimes it has your branded search, and it's like, it is what it is. It's not confusing as to what the person was looking for, and it spent like $74 for the click. And you're like, what is happening? Because you communicated to Google with that goal. I need you to get here. Like, I need you to either get as many conversions within my daily budget as possible. Here's my daily budget. Or I really need you to get this impression share. If for whatever reason in that particular auction at that moment, the person searched, Google feels it needed to bid a penny higher than whatever your competitor decided they were willing to bid for your brand, you just screwed yourself out of a ton of money and probably an unprofitable click and sale just because you used an automated bid strategy. So I'm a big fan of using manual to limit Google and saying, this is a static bid. This is all you get. I give you whatever, $1. And no more of these $40 CPCs. More often than not, I see us accomplishing the same impression shares of the 90% top impression share or above. Click share is still solid. Absolute top impression share is still solid. And we're paying sometimes it's a huge efficiency gain to do this, right? Like, I love this opportunity where they're running max conversions for like a year. And then you're like, you go into it and you're like, God, they're paying so much for CPCs. There's no way we need to do this. And then I go to static bids, like manual CPC, bid like a 20th of the CPC it's been doing. Impression share stays at 90%. MER shoots through the roof. And I'm like, here we go, baby. That's instant savings. We can reallocate.
Well, it's because you've got the quality score. That's the thing. The quality score factor on branded search is just so high. It's usually 9 or 10 out of 10. So you've got that. So even if she's unlike really try to undercut the bidding, you'll still show high because of your quality score. So it's interesting you're saying that about impression share. I haven't seen that blowout yet, but now I'm not going to do it. So Cory, yes, I appreciate that. I'm learning here. I'm learning here. This is good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we said this was going to be a short video. Remember that? And then 25 minutes later, we do this. So let's stop lying to ourselves and our viewers about short videos now, because at the end of the day, we go deep. We think about this a lot. And then when we're pitching and catching on this idea as well, there's obviously going to be a conversation that's had. So, Cory, was there anything else you wanted to add? Or do you want to go for another 25 minutes? No.
We are good. But guys, let us know in the comments if we missed anything. If there's something else you'd like us to elaborate on, we're more than happy to do like a part 2. So let us know.
Yeah, awesome.
Cool.
Cory, how do people find you, mate?
All right. LinkedIn, YouTube, Spotify, PPC Unfiltered, or Cory Lindholm.
Nice. Michael Nadalin on LinkedIn, marketlead.com.au, marketlead on YouTube, and the PPC Unfiltered podcast on YouTube and Spotify.
And a super secret something coming very soon.
Super secret. So, Corey, it was great to chat, mate. We'll chat soon.
All right. Talk soon.